Hi everybody, this is Clarine from In Rainy's room. Today we're going to be making a flip lid gift box. And this is what it looks like. It's about 5.5 by 8. And this is the front. Here's the back. Little flowers down there too. It's a flip top because this flips up. Then inside you can store whatever you want. This stores really well for one of my favorites. These are chocolate covered peanut butter bars. So I just fill that up there. And then you flip this back down. There it is. Okay, well let's get started. This is what we're going to need. I've kind of divided this into 3 sections. So these are going to be the measurements for the box itself, because we'll start putting that together. So you need a piece of construction cardstock, sorry, that's 11 3/4 by 8 1/4. I'll lay that there for a second. And you also need one that is 8 1/4 by 7 1/4. And then we have a little piece that is 8 1/4 inches by 1, and that's going to be the little lip edge that attaches to the flip top lid. So we get out my scoreboard. I'll take that first one first. Now this is with the 8 1/4 inch side up at the top. We're going to score at 1 1/2 and 6 3/4. So it's 1 1/2 and 6 3/4. Then I'm going to turn it around and score at 1 1/2 and 7 1/4. There's 1 1/2, 7 1/4. Then 8 3/4 and 10 1/4. This other smaller piece, this is the back. This other smaller piece is going to be the front section. And we're going to put that with the 8 1/4 inch side up at the top. And we're going to score at 1 1/2 and 6 3/4. 1 1/2, 6 3/4. Then I'm going to rotate it and just score at 1 1/2. That's going to be the bottom section. The other piece that we're going to need to complete that is a piece of chipboard. This is just medium weight chipboard. You just need one that's 5 1/4 by 1 1/2. And when you cut those out, just do 1/16 less on the long edge and the short, and then it'll fit right in the bottom where we're going to want it to go. Bring my scoreboard back in, because on this one piece that we cut, it is the 8 1/4 by 1. We're going to just score it right down the middle at 1/2. Like that. Don't fold it, don't do anything else to it, just leave it like that. So let's cut out the main part first. I'm going to cut it before we burnish it, just because I think it's easier to do it that way. You can follow the lines better. So I'm going to have the section that has these 3 long pieces on the right. This is going to be the lid, and this is going to be the bottom. So what I'm going to do is these sections first. I'm going to cut those 3 lines right up to the first horizontal line. And these 2 little squares that I'm making in the middle are going to be the tags. So I'm going to do a little wedge out of each side. There. There. See. Just on those two middle ones. And right there. This does not get wedged. That's going to be for an edge. Okay, then I'm going to turn it over, do the same thing on the other side. Go up those 3 lines to the first horizontal. These are the ones that are going to get wedged. And over here. And this is that last line that goes straight up. Then we'll turn it around, and over here on the bottom, I'm going to remove both of these square corners. And this one. And then I'm going to put just a little wedge on these 2 ends, not a lot, just to take out the thickness, because that is going to be the base. And I want it to turn up without a lot of thickness around it. Okay, so now I'm going to fold and burnish. Those original lines that I made are the valley folds, so you put those down. Then I'm going to burnish and fold all of the score lines. I did a lot of work ahead of time as far as cutting out the different panels, because they have 2 layers. Didn't want to use up camera time doing that. But I wanted to make this with you so that you could see how quickly this goes together. I'll just give you a little quick peek. This becomes your bottom. These are the sides. And these 3 channels that we made up here come down to form the lid. And then the outer ones that we did not wedge make the side of the lid. Isn't that clever how that comes together so quickly? Now let's take this other part. This is the front part that we cut out, and the 2 corners are down here. So I'm going to make tabs out of these. I'm not cutting them off. I'm going to make tabs. So hold it so that these 2 tabs are on top of each other. And I'm just going to cut in. Make a little wedge. Turn it over and do the same thing in this corner. Yeah. And a wedge there. And I'm going to put that face down and fold and burnish. Okay, so this is going to be the front of your box. Like that. So we're going to take this front back part that we made with your lid at the top. This section here is going to get, oops, I gotta put another little wedge over here. I may have wedged it, but it doesn't look very deep. So I'll just do it again. This piece, we're going to put the glue here, and it's going to slide right into the bottom of that front section. And making sure that your score lines are able to fold. Okay, so let me do this. Let's glue this. I'm just going to slide that over there. Before I press down with any kind of pressure, I want to make sure that this comes up without getting over the score line, and this is working just fine. So then I'll just burnish that, spread the glue around. There we go. Okay. Now this is where that little chipboard is going to come in. It's going to fit right in here, staying inside of your score lines. And I'll just do a big zigzag to hold it in place. Nobody's going to see it, but it just adds a little extra strength to your box. Especially if you put something bigger or heavier than my little peanut butter bars. I'll flip that over so I can burnish on this side. There we go. Okay, now watch this. You've got your box all done. These tabs are going to come in like that. And they're going to glue to these two sides. So they'll come up right like that. Those will be glued down. Then this front will come up here so that you have the rounded part in the front. Glue right onto the sides. And then this is going to be your lid. Okay, so let's set this aside for a minute. That goes together so quick. I like that. These are the other pieces that you're going to be cutting out. And these are going to be the solid color background plus a patterned piece of paper, whatever you choose. So we're going to need two that are 5.5 by 5. We'll be cutting two of those. Those are going to go right on the front, like that, and on the back. Then you're going to be cutting two that are 5.5 by 1 1/4. These are going to be their two side pieces. Then you're going to cut 5. I know it's an odd number, but you're going to cut 5 of the 5 by 1 1/4. And these are going to be for up here on your lid. So go here, here, and on the back. And then there's also another piece that's going to go on the inside. That's why you have the odd number. So that's 5 of those. And then on the very end, when this comes down on these end pieces, we're going to cut 2 little squares that are 1 1/4, 1 1/4 square. And those will go on the end pieces there. Okay, so we'll set that to the side. We've got a couple little piles going here, but it'll make sense in a minute. Then you're going to cut out your pattern pieces. You'll cut out 2 for the front that are 5 1/4 by 4 3/4, which of course are going to set on top of your green, right like that. And then you'll cut 3 that are 4 3/4 by 1. Then you'll cut 2 that are 5 1/4 by 1. And then here's those 2 little square pieces that go on the end. And those will be 1-inch squares. You cut 2 of those. So I'll put those over here in this stack. Now what we're going to do is glue all of those together, and you'll just put the green down and then the pattern paper that's just a little bit smaller. So rather than have you watch me glue all of these down, I went ahead and did it beforehand. So I'm going to remove all these. And this is what you're going to have. Remember, this is where we put the back onto the front. These two tabs came down. You put the glue on there. And they went up on the side of the back, right like that. Oops. So you have the edge right up against your fold, your score line there. And I'll just lay this on its side so I can burnish that a little bit. A little pressure on there so it spreads the glue around. And then on the other side, this is going to come up like that. And I'm going to make sure that line is nice and straight with the score line. It looks good. So I'll turn it on its side. And apply some pressure there. Okay. In a minute, this is going to come up this way. You'll be putting your glue on these two sides, and they will come up like that and form the front. Isn't that cute? And then this top is going to come down. Do like that. Okay, now I put mine on ahead of time, which you can do as well. You just straighten yours out, but keep going back and forth so that you know which is the outside and which is not. But you can do that before or after you form the box, whichever is easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that open for a minute, because on this top section, I have these tabs are going to come in. Whoops. I don't want to glue that on yet. Let me just put it up here to hold it in place with a couple of these pins. So these tabs are going to come in. This is where your glue is going to go. And then the middle tab is going to come down, and it'll go right like that. And then this front, you'll put your glue here, and it'll just go around the edge like that on both sides. But before we do that, I want to put this little handle on the top. And it's easier to do it before everything is finished with the gluing. So I'm going to take these three panels. You'll have your green, and I'm only putting a pattern one on the middle one, on the top. So I've got this little handle. I got these at Hobby Lobby. And then these little brads that open up like that. Those are going to hold it in place. So what I did was I took this is a kind of, I don't know what they call it. I call it a porous block because it's very soft and you can press things in there. I'm going to put it underneath that middle panel so that I can put the handle on by poking holes. So I want to find the middle. This green paper was the 5-inch. So the middle is at 2.5, right there. I'm going to hold that place with my pencil so that I know where the middle is. And then remember I've got that little porous block underneath there, so it's easy to work with. I'm going to put the middle of the handle right where my pencil is. And that looks kind of centered, very nice. And then I'm going to use my pokey tool and just poke a hole straight on through everything. So I can put in the brads. And I'm going to make that hole a little bit bigger. By just kind of going round and round. Makes it bigger so I can see it good too. These little bars are good to have around. Stampin' Up! Makes those. Okay, so now I'm going to take my brads, thread it through there. Put it in the hole. And then I got to hold that in place as I go from this side and just separate those. And push them down real good. And I'll get the other side too. These little brads I bought separately. The screws that came with these handles were actual screws, which I didn't want. I wanted it to be flat. How cute is that? I like that. So then I'm just flipping that over, separating those. And I'm going to turn this on its side. I'm going to put a little bit of score tape across those just to hold them in place. I don't think they're going to back out or anything, but just put that down like that. Oops. Turn this guy sideways. Take off the score tape. I love these little pokey tools. I can't work without them. I get them at Dollar Tree, and you can use them for burnishing edges as well as poking holes and whatnot. Alright, now the piece that's going to go over there is one of those strips that we cut. This was the 5-inch, and then this was the smaller pattern piece. And that's going to go right across everything and hide all of my brads. So let me put some glue on there, making sure to get the corners. When you attach your solid papers and your pattern paper, if you want to use running tape or score tape, whatever you want to use, go ahead. But I worry so much about the corners, I end up using glue most of the time, or a combination of the two, depending on how big the project is. So I'm putting that in the center. It's kind of hard to hold down because of that little handle, but I'm going to scoot it over here. And I'm holding it between my fingers back here so I can spread that glue around. I want to make sure it's in there nice and snug. Guess I'll have to do it this way with my fingertips. You can't lay anything flat with that handle. Now I saw this box at Sam Calcutt's. She has a beautiful site who makes really fun things. She put a bow on hers, a big ribbon of some kind. and I altered it and put on the little handle. So now we can attach these other parts. Now that you can see what we're doing. So I'm going to put my glue down here. Oops, I'm making a mess. And then around this side as well. And then you're going to fold it up so that the outer edge of the front is on the outside where you have your pattern paper. Just line all those up, kind of push and pull so that everything is lined up. Bring this over. Goes like that. And then I think I can reach in there with this ruler. Yeah. Just yeah, didn't work that good. I'll use this. Just want to make sure that glue gets spread around. Then I'll bring this other side, making sure that all the lines are lined up. Shouldn't be any spaces. There we go, looking good. Burnish that a little bit on the inside. Now, before we finish off with the lid, we have to put on this little piece. It's just a little lip, and this is what it looks like. Around the top is that 1-inch strip that we cut, and it just holds it so that your lid can come up and down. And that's what we're putting on next. So where we have that score line, I'm going to put glue underneath it, not over it, but that's going to be my guideline to install it. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to start on this one side, and then this is going to go right along the edge, like that. I'm kind of guiding it with my finger, keeping that score line just out of sight. Bring this over here and pinch that corner. And then just continue on across the front. Putting pressure on there to hold it in place. I'm going to snip off a little bit of this. I'll snip off more in a minute, but just to get me to that edge, I'm going to get that out of the way. And this will come over to the corner, and I'll pinch that real hard. And then I got to cut off a whole bunch so that this will lay flat in there. And then get this corner lined up, squish it across. And then these little edges, just going to bend them a tiny bit that way, just so they're not laying out. Eventually they'll do it on their own, but just to get them started. So burnishing here. Kind of pinch that a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to finish off the lid. Oops, got a little bit of glue there. I have an eraser, I'll be able to erase that later. It's probably not going to show but once we put the medallion on there. But I got sloppy down here, and look what happened. It picked it up off my lid. Okay, so fold these back out of your way because those are going to be the finishing tabs. So we're going to put our glue on this one. And then this comes down like that. Then I'll put my glue here, and it'll go back and line up nice and straight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The glue on those two tabs. Oops. And I think that's on the wrong side. Yeah, let me take that off. Yeah, I'm going to have the glue on the top like that. So I'll put my glue here. And this tab comes down. Line them up on the edges. There we go. So that this two bottom edges line up. Like that. Let that set for a second and come over here and put my glue on this side. And that'll go right over there. Just kind of keep an eye on it to make sure you're forming a square. Press that down. And then your lid will come over and these flaps will go back like that. It makes a nice, beautiful little corner. So I'll put the glue on there. Bring it down. Like that. There we go. Lining everything up. Make sure you have a good square. Do the same thing over here. Whoa. Put my glue on here. Whoops. Don't want to have it fall over. And it comes down. Making sure. It almost goes down by itself because these corners are cut nice and snug. There we go. And then if you just kind of take your thumbs and press in a little bit on that lip, it goes down right like that. And then on those corners is the place for these little tiny squares that we made. So when I made my first one, I formed the box first and then I put all these little pieces on. So it works either way, whichever you're most comfortable with, you can do that. And then here's my other side. Now, in a minute we're going to start on that medallion, so I have my glue gun warming up. Let me just put this on there, like that. Okay, that's great. There you be, coming together. Now let's finish it up real quick. I know this is going to be a long video, but gosh, I think it's worth it by the time we get done. So this is the medallion that we're going to be putting on the front. And what I did was I used craft paper, And I cut out from a 3.5 inch die. I cut 2 pieces. I also cut a 2-inch square of chipboard, and I'm just going to knock off these little corners, get them out of the way. I'm going to glue it right in the middle of the medallion. There we go. And the top as well. I'm liberal with the glue on this because I want to make sure it stays in there. And then I'm going to line up the scalloped edges so that they become one piece. But it's nice and thick. There we go. All right, and that is going to go right up here. But first we'll finish it off, we'll decorate it. Of the pattern paper, I cut a die that from 2 3/4 of a scallop die, and that's going to go right on the top here. Now, I'm not liking the way this is coming up. I think I probably going to go back in here and glue those sides down. I don't like that there's a space. And when you glue yours, just glue it the first time. So don't follow my bad example. There we go. That's better. Yeah. Okay. This piece goes right on the top. I'm going to put it on with pop-ups, I think. So let me put a couple of those in here. I think about 4 or 5 ought to do it. I didn't do it on my other ones, but I just think it'll look cute to have a little dimension there. And I'm just going to put that in the middle. Now, the reason my glue gun is warming up is because when I attach florals, and also when I attach the medallion, I want to make sure that they're going to stay where I put them, and I don't want to wait for glue to dry. So I'm going to bring in my little ephemera that I made ahead of time. Here's some ladybugs, some background grass, and these are little tiny flowers that I make from Tim Holtz's Tattered Florals, and those come actually as a die, and they look like that. Then you cut them out and roll them up. I use them so many times. So I'm just going to real quickly glue some of these in place, but before I do that, I better put a little bit of texture on there. Just going to gently fold these up on the ends. And I believe I put 3 down. Let's see what 3 look like. I'm just gently molding these so they come up rather than lay flat. Yeah, 3 ought to do it. And I just have these cut ahead of time in my stash, always ready to go. Yeah, 3 looks good. So I'll put them down here. Like that. And another one like that. Yeah, I think 4 would be too many. You wouldn't be able to see the leaves. There we go. And then inside of that, I'm going to put these little flowers. Now, like I said, actually my sister cuts them for me. She loves to cut out these dies and puts them together. So I'm going to hold the middle, and she just makes them up in all the different kinds of colors. It doesn't matter what, because in nature you don't really get to mix your flowers all the time. So I just take them out as they come and they're ready to go. I put a little bit of glue there, and I'll use my pencil. I'm going to be putting 3 in here, so I'm just going to hold that in the middle. Let the glue kind of cool. Bring the petals down a little bit. And then you got to give it a little twist to get it up out of the glue. If you pull straight up, then you'll bring out the whole flower. And then you'll have a different looking flower, which is okay too. So I'm putting this right around here. Very generous glob of glue. Holding that like that. I just adore these little flowers. There, I'm holding it in the middle again, putting my glue on. Try not to burn your fingers. Ooh, there goes a drop, but I'll put him where I want him. There we go. Okay. Let's let it cool for a second. Kind of pick out those leaves, the little edges, so that they have a little depth to them. Great, look at that. How fun is that? So then that's going to get glued onto your lid. Just like that. So when I hold it up here, I can see that it's going to go in the middle. So I'm going to put my glue just up about 3/4 of an inch from the top. Don't want to go below that lid, the lip. So I'm just going to bring this over here, get a good little run of it, like that. Put that right up there. Not covering all the green at the top, but pretty close. And then just hold it in place. When I have my fingers in there, I can really feel the heat from the glue gun. So I'm just going to hold it there until it cools, because I put a big amount of glue in there. I don't want it to run down. There we go. Okay, so we'll set that right down for a little bit while we do the back. And for the back, I made a smaller version of this medallion. I cut a die that is 2 3/4 of an inch scallop die. And then I just cut it in half, because what I want to do is just put a little something on the bottom. Didn't want it to be plain. I'm waiting for this one to really cool before I mess with it. So let's put this together. And then the middle part, the pattern paper, is 2 inches die. And I just did the one, and then I cut it in half. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that in place. I know this video is running long, but I just had so much fun with this, I had to share it with you. And then I'm going to put some flowers in there. Here's my other leaves. And I'm just putting one like that. Take out part of it. And give it a little bit of shaping here. Don't want to pull too hard, because I don't want to pull flower off. And just put that in place down there. Oopsie. And then these tattered floral dies come in different sizes. There's actually 4 different sizes. So this is one of the smaller ones. And I'm going to put it on the same way. And I'll keep my fingers out of the way. And I'm just going to put, I think, just a couple on here. Hold it in the middle. And twist it out. And you know what? I kind of got that too far on the one side, so I'm going to put 3 of these in there because this has got to go a little more to the left. Like that. Oops. There we go. And one more in the middle. No, don't like that one. I like this one. Put him right up here just to fill in that little space because it just looked too vacant. Oh my gosh, I grabbed my pokey tool. Okay, well, let's hope he doesn't get stuck in there. I'll just twist him out. No problem. There we go. Okay. And then this whole thing is going to get glued on the back, just like the other one. Right in the middle, and I'm doing it just on the pattern paper. I'm not covering the green edge. I just want to leave that there. There we go. Just kind of press that in place. There we go. Oh gosh, how cute. Okay, and then one more thing. These are little ladybugs. I have different sizes, and I just thought they would be fun to put on there. Oh my gosh, I know I'm keeping you guys so long. So here's, I got 2 sizes, so I'm putting a little one on the back. And I put it up about like that. There's the back side. And then I'm going to put some in the front here. Oops. Get my edge on. And these are a little bit bigger, so I'll use a bigger pop-up. And I think I'll put one up here. I thought the ladybugs fit real nice with this paper because it has bumblebees in it. And there's a ladybug. And then I'll put one more of the smaller ones. Right like that, just because I think so. Okay, alrighty. Well, believe it or not, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. But there you have it. That is your flip lid gift box. Just lifts up, fill it full of goodies, and then this goes back down. Just kind of push that